feel like when people are talking to you or talking about you or describing you or something like that, and they use the word Mr., like they put Mr. in front of the description or in front of the adjectives or in front of the actions that describe you, I feel like it just got way shadier. Like, you know, they're talking about you. They're like, you know, okay, there goes Rod. He's a gym teacher. Okay, it's like, okay, yeah, he's a gym teacher. But if they're like, oh, there goes Mr. Gym Teacher over there, then all of a sudden it just got wild shadier. You know what I'm saying? It's like, you know, there goes, Rod. He works out 3 times a week. You know, he goes to the gym 3 times a week. Yeah, that's Mr. 3 times in a week. Mr. in the gym 3 times a week over here. You know. It's the over here too. They don't say over here. In my mind, they're saying over here too, but they're not saying over here, but they're saying the Mr. part, you know, Mr. New York over here. Somebody, I got a friend who calls me that, but she doesn't mean any harm. Like she's being intentional, like she's being playfully shady. But, you know, if somebody else said that, they'd be like, oh, there go Mr. New York over there. I'd be like, you know, that little Mr. made it shady, fam. I say that because I was thinking about it. Like, people have this thing with me about being cool, right? It's like, do I think I'm cool? Yeah, but do I think I'm cool for reasons that people usually think someone is cool? No, you know, like dressing, like I don't know how to dress, you know, or like, I don't know, I don't walk cool, or I don't have a cool voice or anything like that, you know. It's just like, but I think I'm cool because I'm me and I love being me. And I'm unapologetically me, and I'm, you know, I think being me is dope. I think that's what makes me cool. But like, people will be like I had a colleague who was like, yeah, you know, Rod, he's Mr. Cool over there. No, they didn't say over there. They were like, you know, Mr. Cool. And I'm like, that sounded shady. Mr. Cool. Like, Mr. Rod is fine and he's cool is fine, but Mr. Cool, that sounded shady. Like, what'd I do to you? Like, are you cool? I don't know. Do you care about being cool? I don't. Like, you must think I'm cool and that must bother you or something. Yeah, and then another teacher said, I'm like, the teacher barely even knew me a couple of months. And like, yeah, Mr. Rod, he's always cool. And I don't know. It wasn't Mr. in that scenario. It was like, he's always cool. I'm like, no one's always cool. What are you trying to say? And I'm not one of those people who can't take a compliment. Like, compliments do make me, they make me squirm a little bit, but that's more just, it's just hard to hear people saying like, nice things about me like that. It feels a little weird, but I'm not one of those people who think that when someone is saying something about me, they're being negative. That's not what I'm saying. But when these people do this, oh, he's always cool or whatever, because it's like in a school, people don't really want you to be cool. They think there's something wrong. They think you're not working hard enough. And teachers hate to think that you're not working as hard as them, that you have it easier than them. No one has it easy in a school. I've told you this before. But there are teachers who think that they're working way harder than everyone else. You know that teacher. And they hate the thought of thinking that someone else is not working, like is not stressed. It's like, you're not stressed, so you must not be working hard, which must mean I'm working more in some funny teacher math, Common Core. Now, some funny math is like, if you're not stressed and you're not working as much as I am, then I must be working. I must be doing your work somehow, even though I'm in a completely different grade and department and, yada, yada, But yeah, it'll be a teacher, a teacher came to me and they were all overwhelmed, stressed and everything like that. And I wasn't, or I was, but what do I get out of outwardly expressing that, right? It actually makes me feel better to not do it. I'm just a composed person. I'm composed. That's years of practicing being composed. At some point I realized I rather enjoy being composed. Like, it works for me, and they were like asking me, like how I'm dealing with things and then all that and other shit. Other thing is, I don't really like people in my business, so I'm not going to go into detail about what my situation is, So for instance, I'll get a little more specific. Say reports are due and we have to grade tests and assessments, and parent conferences or something are coming up, and teachers real stressed, and they walk up to you and they're like, so much to do, man, I gotta do this and that, did you get your reports done? And I'm like, no, I didn't. Like, oh, okay. Did you grade the assessment? I'm like, maybe about 2 or 3 of them. I probably got about 21 to go. And they're like, oh, you seem really like, you're not worried. I'm like, well, if I am worried, I'm not going to tell you. But I'm like, these things don't worry me. I know what being worried is. I've been worried. You don't want to be worried like that. And then they're like, oh yeah, you're always cool. You're so cool about everything. And I'm like, that's shady. No, it doesn't have to be shady, but sometimes it is. And they throw that Mr. Yeah, that's right. You're Mr. Cool. I'm like, oh, you threw that Mr. on there. I know what that means. You're hating right now. You hating. Chill. You got to relax, yo. So anyway, I know what that whole Mr. shit is, telling me, oh, I'm always cool or whatever. And you could just imagine what that conversation is when they're talking to someone else about you. Yeah, he's always cool. It's because he doesn't do shit. It's because he doesn't do anything. And the thing is, I don't do a lot of things that the other teachers do. Like, they're right to a certain extent. I don't have less work. I don't do a lot of the things they do because I know by the end of the year, no one's going to ask for that stuff. It is not going to impress the parents. It is not going to impact achievement. None of that. There's like 20-25% of nonsense that the school asks you to do along the way. And by the end of the year, it didn't mean anything. And you spent a lot of time and energy on it. I learned that a long time ago. So along the way, I cut that out. I don't end up doing it. And they're like, did you do the, I either don't tell them or I tell them that I didn't do it. So now they think that I had less work than them, but they don't know that I put that energy towards something else. And I got better at something else. So then I look even cooler, right? Because now, my kids are, orderly, and I don't know, maybe I do an assembly and assembly's good, something like that. And they're like, well, of course I could too if I was working 60% as hard, but they don't know I put that percentage, that other, percentage into something else that I felt was important. A lot of teachers don't think for themselves. So they're told what to do. If they're not told, then they ask. And that's really where it is, right? If they're not told what to do in every scenario, they're going to ask. A lot of those scenarios where I'm not told what to do, I use scenarios too much. You're going to be like, you got to chill with the word scenario, fam. In those instances, if I'm not told what to do, if I think it's important, I may ask. I'm asking the bare minimum though, because what happens when you ask, then they make up shit. But then, besides that though, I will just choose what to do on my own, and that's where my creativity comes in, and innovation and initiative, So yeah, that was on my mind, people putting Mr. in front of something called, Mr. YouTube video over here, Mr. Podcast. Instead of being like, he does podcasts. Like, yeah, he's Mr. Podcast. Fucking Mr. fam. What else I was thinking about today? I was thinking about soccer. Football. The beautiful game. It's football that's the beautiful game, right? That's what it is. Soccer is what I'm talking about. Soccer ball. Yeah, I was watching some kids play it. We got a huge problem with the students playing football because they go crazy. They're fighting all the time. They're barely, they think they're really good, and they're mimicking the professional players. It's like us back home with the basketball, right? Everybody think they're killing it with the crossover, yada yada. And I don't know what it is now. When I was younger, it was the crossover. These days, I don't know. It's something else, right? I don't know. It's the hezzy. It's the shooting from deep. I don't know. But they go crazy with the football. But I was watching them play, and I was like, you know what? It is quite a graceful game. And it's a strange game, when you didn't grow up with it, but you start to understand it a little more every time, little things that seem like they shouldn't be hard to do, but when you do them, you're like, some people do it with skill, and you're like, why is, like, first of all, running while you're kicking a ball and trying to control it is ridiculously difficult. But if you've never played it, you're kind of thinking to yourself, there can't be too many ways to do this. You kick the ball with your foot and you run after it and you try to make sure no one else gets it. And then you watch people do it and you're like, oh, it's with that part of the foot. But how do they even get their foot like that over and over? And, and how are they making it go straight? And then, and then I noticed that, like, this, it's a game of angles, it seems, I mean, most sports are, like, basketball definitely is, I see a lot of basketball in it, and I can see why certain players who played football ended up being good at basketball. It's a game of angles in that way. When I see them going up and down, back and forth, trying to get around the person defending them, trying to place the ball right here, just right, trying to receive it and stuff. I see somebody pass it to them, it's going in the air, they stop it a certain way with their foot. I thought it was all trash. And then, the more I watch it, I'm like, but it's a weird game also because it's kind of random. That it's, they're scoring only a handful of times every game. So a lot of that back and forth is just like kicking and running and shoving, and there's strategy. There's all this strategy so that in the end you're going to score. But a lot of it seems so like random, like no matter how skilled you are, you may not even get a shot for minutes, and it's crazy. It's just a strange sport, but I'm appreciating it more. I can't play it for shit, but I am better than I was, and I'm judging that by playing in my living room with a ball that is not for soccer, with my son, and him being a lot better than me. He's 7, but I'm closing the gap. So that's how I'm judging that I'm getting better at football. What else is on here? Being a teacher with content. So I saw that there was a teacher who got fired from her job back in the States because they found out she was a rapper. I think her rap name was Honey Dip, something like that. So I saw the teacher and I made all of these assumptions, of course, but I was wondering, like, what is the content like? But after I made those assumptions really quick, I adjusted them just as quick, because I was like, she's not dumb. She's not dumb. These millennials aren't dumb. If she's rapping, she is not doing a certain kind of rapping that would get her in trouble if it was found out. Then I read the article, and she's not doing anything crazy. I don't think. It's from what, the little that I read. I'm not even going to front. Like, I didn't read all that much, but I read a little bit. And it was saying that, she had students in her video, and it seemed like it was pretty positive. I don't know if, in other videos, she was talking about doing the drill and, all that other stuff. With crashing out. Is that what you young people say now? Doing all types of wild stuff. I don't know. I don't think so. But it just made me think. I'm like, obviously I'm a teacher who does content. I rap. I still rap. I'm gonna have some music coming out soon, actually. And I've had music out like the whole time I've been a teacher. And my music is not the kind of music that you would think your teacher is making. But I was making it before I became a teacher. I became a teacher so I could make more of it. It didn't work out that way, really. But every time I hear about a teacher getting fired or something like that, like I've heard of teachers getting fired just for having Instagram pages and having a lot of followers, nothing at all salacious and inappropriate on that page. So when I hear about teachers getting fired for content, I'm always like, man, like my music, just finding me doing certain things on stages on YouTube from like 15 years ago is probably enough for you to like take a second look at my contract, and even my videos, my content, I say things sometimes, I use a little bit of language, a little bit of blue language, as they used to say. And, I don't know what my contract says. I don't know if it has a morality clause of some sort. I don't know. Anyway, what else was I thinking about? I was thinking about, because I say stuff like I'm about to say. Listen, I was thinking about white women at work. I gotta be honest with y'all. I know if a white person said this, people would say they're racist, and then, they may get fired or whatever like that. It's not fair in that respect, but there's reasons it's not fair, so I'm not gonna lose any sleep over it. It's hard for me to work with white women sometimes, or in a position where they are in charge. See, the thing with me is I always respect people who are in positions above me. For whatever reason, they're in that position and I'm not. And you're not. And he's not and she's not. So you shouldn't complain and bitch about it. So I'm always going to be supportive. And, even when I'm not feeling the person and feeling their decisions and stuff, I'm going to be pretty supportive. Because it's going to be helpful to all of us. Because, the thing is, if you're not in charge, there's certain things you don't want to do or you can't do. So it makes no sense to not be supportive of the person who is in charge. That's not to say you can't be critical of them. You can be critical of shit, but you can do both. You need to support the person also. Now, that can exist with me also saying a lot of times when I'm working under a white woman or alongside, there's this thing they have, not all of them, not all of you, maybe not you, my white woman friend, okay, but there's this thing where they have to, it's like they have a lot to prove or they have something to prove, but they are also entitled. It's like a sweet spot between where we are and other, and a lot of people of color, and where like white men are, because they have something to prove because they are not men, right? They're not white men, but they also feel entitled because they're white. So a lot of times if they feel that they are knowledgeable about something, you can't tell them anything. They can be super inflexible in these moments, in these situations where they are, I was about to say scenarios. It's not a scenario. Scenario is a different thing. In these situations, I can give you a scenario though, but I'm not. They can be really inflexible because they have that entitlement where they're like, I am credentialed, I studied, I know what I'm talking about, and they are not as confident as they seem. So they're trying to project that confidence, but also, so they have the entitlement from the credentials and the reading and the studying and all of that and the research, but they also are insecure because they know if like a white man who looks a certain way comes along and is in charge, then they start to feel intimidated. They feel like they have something to prove. And a lot of times someone like me gets, I was going to use suffer, but the word is not suffer. It's just someone like me, ends up kind of getting annoyed, I guess, because that white woman is projecting all of that towards me and people like me, especially, with me. The thing is, because I'm I'm sharp. You know, I don't know how else to say it. I'm sharp. I'm sharper than anyone would ever fucking know. You know, I just gotta say it. I am. You know, and you know, they'll be smart enough to know that. So it intimidates them, and they have to kind of try to use certain techniques to make sure I stay in a certain box, in a certain place, in a certain area, in a certain category. You know, it's like, I will gladly use your expertise, Rod, but I need to make sure that you don't threaten my place in this hierarchy. You know, so yeah, I just be having difficulties with them in this situation, you know, but not all the time. I've worked with some white women who were, you know, they were perfectly fine. We got along well, and you know, we made good things happen. They looked out for me, you know, as long as I didn't I was gonna say, as long as I didn't threaten them and I didn't get too big for my britches. No, like, they looked out for me and it was all good or whatever. But the other ones, they be trash. So anyway, that was on my mind. On a more serious note, I saw that video when the shipping containers crashed into the bridge in Baltimore. My God, yo. I was looking at that, you know, the first time I was telling my guy, I was like, I saw it and I was like, wait, a bridge can't withstand being hit by a boat? I know nothing about engineering, because I just assumed it was one of those things like you never really think about, and you just make a quick assumption and you just kind of never research it. And I research all types of random shit all the time, but I just thought, you know, it would cause some problems, but I didn't think it would take down a bridge. And then I saw the size of the ship and the size of the bridge, and I was like, oh, okay, I can see. And I haven't heard any of the updates or anything like that, but just horrifying. You know, I know people in Baltimore and stuff like that, you know, and it just felt a little close to home, even though I'm from New York or whatever. You know, New York, you know, a lot of people in B-more and stuff like that. And just when something like that happens, I like to put myself in that situation, and like I just kind of feel it. You know, I slow down and I kind of just imagine it. I don't know why, but I'm one of those people. And I was just thinking about being on that bridge and falling in the water, you know, in a car or not in a car. I can't remember if it was a pedestrian bridge as well, but you know, just falling in that water, and just the thought of it is just horrifying. So you know, hopefully as many people as possible are found, rescued, and you know, it turns out you know, as good as it can. You know, I know that's probably being a little overly optimistic, but you know, what else do you have in a situation like that? It's pretty bad, man. So I need to see what's up with that. And if you know anybody who was there or knew someone who was there, you know, our prayers are with you. Yeah, it's just crazy. There's something else I was thinking about that I wanted to talk about. It's all good. I'll see y'all later. I'll talk to y'all tomorrow. Peace. You see, I got my hair done. See, because in the video yesterday, at the end, I was like, peace, I'm going to go get my hair done. I got my hair done. All right. Later. Peace.